It was one of those weddings where everything felt too familiar. The same smiling faces, the same laughter, the same people pretending their lives were perfect. I hadn't planned to go, honestly. The invitation had sat unopened for weeks until curiosity got the better of me. It was my old university friend Maya's wedding, and she'd insisted I come, saying it wouldn't be the same without me. What she didn't mention in her cheerful voice note was that she, Emily, my ex, would be there too. Emily and I hadn't spoken in nearly 2 years. Our breakup hadn't been messy, at least not on the surface. No screaming, no drama. Just silence, the kind that swallows you whole. One day she was mine, the next she wasn't. She'd said she needed space, that we wanted different things. What she didn't say was that she'd already found comfort in someone else's arms, a fact I discovered only weeks later through a mutual friend. Since then, I'd moved on, or so I told myself. The wedding was held in a grand countryside manor, the kind that looked like it belonged in a romantic film. I arrived in a tailored navy suit, trying to look as composed as I could, though my stomach churned with a mix of nostalgia and quiet dread. I was halfway through my second glass of champagne when I saw her. Emily looked radiant. Her hair was tied in soft waves, her emerald dress hugging her frame with effortless grace. For a moment, everything around me blurred, the chatter, the music, even the laughter. Just her. The same girl I'd once loved more than anyone else in the world. And then reality hit, she wasn't mine anymore. She noticed me before I could look away. Her lips parted in surprise before curling into a polite smile. "Alex." "Wow, I didn't expect to see you here," she said, her tone light but her eyes flickering with a mix of nerves and curiosity. "Yeah, Maya insisted," I replied, keeping my voice calm. She introduced me to the man standing beside her, tall, confident, the kind of man who probably never second-guessed himself. "This is Ryan," she said, her fingers brushing his arm. "My fiancé." Fiancé. The word landed heavier than I expected. Ryan extended a hand. "Ah, Alex. So you're the famous uni friend. Emily's told me a lot about you." "Has she now?" I said, shaking his hand firmly. Emily's smile tightened. I could tell she hadn't told him everything. The night moved on, with the usual rhythm of speeches, laughter, and dance. I tried to blend in, but somehow Emily and I kept crossing paths, at the bar, near the buffet, even during group photos. Each time, the tension thickened, unspoken but palpable. She laughed louder than usual when I was nearby, and I caught her glancing at me more than once when she thought I wasn't looking. Later in the evening, the band started playing soft jazz. Couples swayed under fairy lights, and I was about to step outside for some air when Maya, the bride, pulled me back in. "Alex. Come meet some people, you'll love them." She dragged me toward a circle of guests, and that's when it happened. Emily was already there, standing with her fiancé and a few others. Maya began introducing everyone, cheerful as ever. When it was Emily's turn, she smiled and said lightly, "Oh, and this is Alex, just a friend from university." Just a friend. The words sliced through me, not because they weren't partly true, but because of the way she said them dismissively, as though we'd been nothing but casual acquaintances. Like the years we spent together, the late-night talks, the road trips, the plans for a shared future, meant nothing. Everyone smiled politely, oblivious. But something inside me refused to let that slide. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was the quiet ache I'd buried for too long, but I smiled back and said clearly, "Actually, just an ex." The silence that followed was almost satisfying. A few eyebrows lifted. Maya's eyes widened. Ryan blinked, his smile faltering for just a second before recovering. Emily's cheeks flushed crimson. "Oh," she said softly, trying to laugh it off. "Right, well, that was ages ago." "Yeah," I said evenly, holding her gaze. "Feels like another lifetime." Ryan chuckled awkwardly, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Small world, huh?" Very small, I said, sipping my drink. The group quickly changed the subject, but the air was charged. Emily avoided my eyes, her laughter forced now. I excused myself soon after and stepped outside into the cool night, the faint hum of music drifting from the hall behind me. I lit a cigarette, a habit I'd kicked years ago but somehow resurfaced tonight, and stared at the stars. The anger that had flared up moments ago faded into something quieter, closure. She had reduced what we'd had to a label, just a friend, and maybe that was her way of erasing the guilt. But I realized then that I didn't need her acknowledgement. I'd corrected her not for revenge, but to remind myself that I was no longer a secret to be hidden behind polite smiles. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps behind me. You didn't have to say that, Emily said, her voice low. I turned, exhaling smoke. Say what? The truth? She crossed her arms. It was awkward. Ryan didn't need to hear that. We've moved on. I met her eyes, calm now. We did. But you don't get to rewrite what we were, Emily. I was never just a friend. Not to you. Not then. She looked away, guilt flickering across her face. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I said quietly. But pretending we never mattered? That hurt more. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The music inside shifted to a slow, romantic tune, ironic, really. Then she said, almost a whisper, you look good, Alex. Happier. I am, I replied simply. And I hope you are too. She nodded, her eyes glistening faintly before she turned back toward the hall. I watched her go, her figure fading into the golden glow of the wedding lights. I stayed outside for a while longer, finishing the cigarette before tossing it aside. The cool air felt different now, lighter. As I walked to my car, I glanced back once at the manor, where laughter still spilled into the night. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the weight of what we'd been. I didn't feel the ache of loss or regret. Just peace, the kind that comes when you finally speak the truth aloud, even if it's only 6 simple words. Actually, just an X. And with that, I drove away, leaving her and the ghosts of our past behind, exactly where they belonged.